this is you've learned a lot, Prakash. You've shared a lot of things with me. You've taught me a lot in the journey. And what would you say, in your assessment, does it take to be an entrepreneur?
I think, Sanjeev, to me, the entrepreneur is an attitude. It is what is called in Marathi vritti. It is an attitude. It is not something that you learn going to school. It is really creating a direction out of a confusion. The one that can create a direction out of a confusion is an entrepreneur. But in order to be, and there are different grades of entrepreneurship. We all are entrepreneurs in our life. There are different grades in entrepreneurship, right?
Okay, okay,
And the first and foremost thing, I think, for becoming a good entrepreneur, you have to have the intellectual honesty. Second property you have to have in that, in the second profile is the tenacity of never to give up. Okay, so those two are the key fundamental pillars for becoming a successful entrepreneur. And entrepreneurship is not like you're doing only one entity or one company or whatever. That to me is a one trick pony. If you want to keep doing, if you want to keep creating direction out of the confusion over and over and over again, then there are uh, certain properties you have to possess, you have to develop, and you have to continue to practice. But by far, I think the tenacity is the key in becoming that. Now, what I'm giving you is the perspective of the entrepreneurship as I see it. If you look at any company or any business, they go through 5 stages. The first stage of any industry or any company is an embryonic stage. There's the embryonic stage, there is a developing stage, there is a growth stage, there is a maturing stage, and then there's a decaying stage. So you go through these stages, right? Same thing happens with respect to the companies. You see the companies kind of take a birth, and the idea becomes a business. So if you look at journey through that, that's the journey that you see. So most of my experience in that journey is in the early 2 stages. So if you ask me what it takes to be an entrepreneur for a maturing entity or maturing industry, um, there are people who are required in order to run that, in order to do whatever, right? I won't have the experience for me to talk about the direct experience. I can talk as a conjecture, but I cannot talk about the direct experience. So tomorrow, for example, if you say, okay, Norton company is doing grinding wheels business, and the grinding used to be very important aspect in the auto industry 60, 70, 80 years ago, where every block and every piece that need to be ground and to put together to fit together, right? And then came the zero tolerance pouring, for example. So the grinding business came to an halt. So 70 years ago there were 100 grinding companies that used to make belts and grinding wheels and so on and so forth. And right now there is only one, and one is Norton, and everybody else is gone. So what it takes to run that at that stage, I have no experience. My experience always has been in an earlier stage, in a embryonic and a developing stage. So whatever I'm speaking from that uh, foundation. So keep all my comments uh, geared towards that foundation only.
I understand
So,
uh, that a mature business has also a certain level of entrepreneurship criteria. Most of the young or the entrepreneurship struggles are where the business infrastructure doesn't exist or is being built,
mm, correct.
and and then you have a different mindset once you are doing the business and the growth exit stories. Uh, is that to be defined an entrepreneurship? Probably, but it's a different level, like you said, of an entrepreneurship.
Yeah, there
Uh,
are different entrepreneurships, Sanjeev. I'm just telling you that my comments that I will make,
yeah,
just
yeah,
focus them. Anytime any of the readers read that, they should look
right,
at that context and not
yeah,
other context. That's all I'm
yeah.
saying.
So what you're saying is to the readers, hey, what I am going to tell you is about the first two or three stages out of the five stages. Is that
That's
correct?
correct. That,
So,
that is that is correct.
correct. Okay. So then, focusing on those two or three initial stages, what give the readers an exposure of what your journey has been, so they can relate to who you are and with why, with so much experience and authority, can you share such wisdom with them?
To create an idea, to create a business out of an idea is a very hard and very difficult thing to undertake. Don't do it. Don't do it if you're not ready to withstand the pressures that you will face. That, until you wake up some nights with cold sweat, multiple, not one night, multiple nights you wake up with cold sweat, and you kind of think you have put the entire family and your life and everything uh, on a brink. You will not reshape. It is so. So I very clearly indicate that as what I call as ice cube theory. So the ice cube theory is very simple theory. For an entrepreneur has to follow this ice cube theory. And if you're not willing to follow the ice cube theory, you will not be successful. The ice cube theory is very simple. You take an ice cube out of the refrigerator, you keep it at room temperature, it will melt. If you try to refreeze it, it will never freeze it back into the same shape. What that means, the entire core of what you're thinking is how you approach the problem, what you do with it, and how you see the life. It completely changes. And if it does not change, and you are not willing to change, then don't get into this game. Do whatever you're doing. Do whatever you're best at for so many years. What you have done, continue to do. Not everybody needs to be an entrepreneur.
So how does the
Now let me distinguish. Hang on. One more distinction I want to
sure,
distinguish, which people need to understand. There is a difference between the entrepreneur and a founder, where most of the people get confused is in that just because on your idea, if a company is formed, you are a founder of that idea, you are a founder. That does not necessarily make you an entrepreneur. Where people get confused is the two roles are intermingled. And that's when the failure occurs. You asked me what not to do. So I'm just jumping a little
sure,
bit.
absolutely,
Now, where you get confused is, say you have gone to primary school and you are really, really bright. You got all straight A's and you went to Ivy League school, you went to MIT or Harvard or wherever. Okay. So over the period, your ego has been cajoled to be ahead of everything in the game of education, but you're ahead of it. Then you go join Intel or you go join wherever, and you, in your technical field that you have acquired with so many skills, you have done very well, and you have become a guru in your own space. Technically, you're a guru in your own space, and you come up with an idea and say, this idea, whatever the idea is, how small, big, whatever it is, that idea you're going to form the company on. So you think, oh, because it's my idea, I never failed. I'm the founder, I'm the entrepreneur, I'm going to start the company. Fine. So in the morning, you're writing a code. In the afternoon, you're doing the marketing. And in the evening, you are trying to sell. Unless you're a superhuman and you can do all of these activities successfully, you can. There's few examples in life. You can. But if you cannot, you are trying to play an entrepreneur. If you are good at the idea, your idea is really, really good, and it is really a massive idea. The company may be founded on your idea, you are a founder, but the areas that you don't have any skills, areas that you have not developed, you have not worked all your life, and you don't have the innate feeling for it, what you should not be doing is doing all these other things. So if you don't understand marketing, get the appropriate marketing skill into the game. If you don't know how to sell, get the appropriate sales skill in the game, and so on and so forth. So what entrepreneurs, most of the founders, where they go wrong is, first of all, you should not be starting a company because everything is against you. Nobody wants to buy it from you. Nobody wants to give you right time of the day because you are here today, go disappear tomorrow. I bet my product on your technology and you disappear, and I'm a multinational company or I'm a multi-million company. I'm host. What do I do? So I'm risk averse. So me as a manager in a multinational company, I don't want you. You're causing too much. You cause me too much pain and difficulty. I won't get fired. I'll get fired if I don't deliver. Right? So I don't want you. So essentially, everything is going against you. So what you need to understand is the difficulty for you that you are facing, other than your own idea that you are married to and you are wedded to, who you think it is greatest thing since sliced bread. You need to understand what it takes to take that idea and turn it into a successful business. What skills you don't have, what skills that are required to form an entity, so the entity as a product can become a successful business. Most important lesson for an upcoming founder whose ideas companies are getting founded on, because that's where you typically begin. That is only 5% of the game. 95% of the game is everything else. So me as an entrepreneur, if somebody comes to me with an idea is not mine. Me as an entrepreneur, somebody comes to me. So I look at it, okay, what is the skill set of the person that is bringing me and how far can he extend himself? And what other complement that I can offer? Either I'm raising the funds, or either I'm getting the first customer, or I'm trying to find a marketing person, or I'm trying to connect them to some investor or whatever, right? All these things, I'm complementing that individual. If the individual has done 10 companies, they don't need me as an entrepreneur. They themselves have learned enough tricks, enough ropes in the game that they can do it all by themselves and they stitch the thing together. But however, the important thing is you have to have a team. You cannot do it by yourself. You cannot do it by yourself.
So Prakash, very, very good point. And it's a point that probably very few entrepreneurs realize the difference between the founder and an entrepreneur. Uh, is it better to then say that in order to drive success, you need a founding team? In order to maybe come up with an idea, you need a founder, because the probability of a early stage founder or a first founder to know what he or she needs is probably very difficult. And unless he's been through one or has seen that process. So how would you define the four walls that a founder should create an entrepreneurially oriented founding team? What is that criteria that a founder needs to transition himself from being a founder to a founding entrepreneurial team? Does that make sense to you?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. See, founder can remain a founder, can remain a technical individual, if they, or
Sure.
whatever person is, or marketing individual, whatever it is, right?
Correct.
They can remain what they are. They don't need to expand themselves in the other space. Now, typically what happens is the reason you end up doing that is because you can't afford to have a marketing person, a sales person, and this and that, whatever, create a huge team. So you end up
Correct.
dabbling into all the other aspects. By default you dabble into it. It is not your choice. It should not be your choice to do that because there is no help that you dabble in it. It's like, I'll give an example. So what is important is the founding team is important, and
Correct.
and the domain density of the founding team is extremely important. For example, I'll give an example. So in the heydays of Silicon Valley, there are three um, engineers from Sun Microsystems came to see me with a
Hmm.
proposal.
Hmm.
And they had a very interesting proposal. The proposal was that I go into, if you look at a hospital stockroom has, on the average, something between 80 to 90,000 parts, gowns and syringes and drugs and whatever they are, right? About 80 to 90,000, right? And obviously, you cannot stock everything at the same level. Some are used more, some are used less, some are used different depending on the season, this, that, so on and so forth. So this team came up with an algorithm. We have an algorithm that we can create a company that will manage the stock room in a hospital in a very efficient way, and they came up with some mathematical algorithm, be it as it may. Okay. So my very first question to them was, okay, oh, that sounds the idea sounds very wonderful because there is a huge amount of money that the hospital wouldn't have to invest, but at the same time you have all the components that are required that are there, and then automatically tied to the purchasing system and so on and so forth, so that you can order the parts and parts get and to the MRP system, right? Wonderful and wonderful idea. My very first question to them was, okay, that sounds great. So, how many of you have gone, or how many of you have seen? That's my first question. How many of you have seen the stock room, in a hospital? They said, no, we have not seen it, but we know that there is a problem. They kept. I said, look, you know, your idea. I'm not challenging your idea. I'm challenging your domain density. What is your domain density? How do you know how the hospitals manage that? So what you need in your team is not only your idea and your mathematical knowledge and the programming knowledge. That is a one aspect of it. But you need a team that has sold to the hospital, that has managed the operational aspect of the stockroom. Then you come back with a solution, and then you go to Kaisers and Mayo Clinics and whatever of the world, and you present it. There is some domain density built into some intelligence. The domain intelligence is built into the solution. You see what I'm saying? So it is very, very crucial that they have to understand, the team has to have a in-depth domain density. That is what entrepreneurs sometimes miss.
But most of the time, the entrepreneurs that come to you, especially because of your reputation and success, they come up with an idea or they come up with a business that they have launched.
Right.
And right, so that's what happens to
Correct.
them now.
Correct. On the average, that is correct.
Right. So that is a luxury of expertise and capabilities that I would say 99% of the entrepreneurs don't even know exist.
Mhm.
And so that's a rare. Would you not say, Prakash, it is not such a widely available things, because all entrepreneurs know is that idea, some team, and some venture capital. They don't realize that there is this reinforcement capability that drives, that gels the founder with the space and the existence of entrepreneurship as a business.
I think
As
I think where the lack, Sanjeev, is, I'll put it a little differently. Where the lack is, when when you come up with the idea, you're too close to the idea. You're working in that space, you're too close to the idea. Most of the people are not like what the Sun microsystem example I gave. I just gave that as an example just to make it a point. Most of the people who come from that specific domain, number one, they come mostly are very technical in that space. Okay. And they have a semblance of an idea of that idea could be converted into a business. It's an assemblance. What in order for the idea to become a business, it needs 3 or 4 things. First is the idea, the opportunity that the solution that you're looking at, the opportunity has to be massive, as massive as it can be. Okay. Second thing is market has to be confused. If the market is not confused, market is not there, it's not confused, and the idea is not, opportunity is not huge.
Please explain.
I'll give an example.
Confusion. Please explain to the readers.
I'll give everything. All of them I'll give. Okay. So let's look at the market being confused. Okay, what do I mean by that? Okay, tomorrow Sanjeev, Chitre, and I decide to open up a factory to produce cars. And the car, when we bring out a car that sells for $25,000, comes in green, blue, white color. It's a 4-cylinder, goes 0 to 16, 14 seconds, 15 seconds. Okay, and we hang our shingles and say, here is our car, buy it. There are enough. Market is not confused. There is enough solution available in the market. What is your differentiation? What differentiation are you bringing? So the market is not market has to be confused, and that only happens during the embryonic stage of the market development.
Okay.
If you look for car, look at the car as an example. In 1910 to 1925, there are 400 car manufacturers in US. 400 car manufacturers in US. So I'm just sticking to it because that is what that you can relate to it, right? And everybody was putting out the car until Ford came in and says, well, ask any color you want as long as it's black.
Black.
And Ford Model T came in and it wiped out 380 of them. Only 20 car manufacturers were left. He created a direction out of confusion in the market. So in the embryonic stage, everybody comes up with a solution that's mine is the best. Right now, going with the corona, for example, every company is claiming to have a therapeutic or a diagnostic kit that is going to detect corona. You don't know who has it and who doesn't. Everybody is claiming their own thing, whatever it is. Market is confused. The corona diagnostics and the corona therapeutic market is confused today. Everybody is attempting their own way, and they're taking a small little hillock and say, I'm the king of the hill. My hill is the one that is going to be the mountain. Right? I'm giving a very specific example. Okay, I give example of the car, I give example of the corona. Same thing applies with respect to your own ideas. So if you are the only company with the idea that is coming in the market and nobody else is talking about it, either you are way too ahead of the market or you are way too behind. Don't get involved. I do not invest in any companies. I invest zero with 40, 50 companies that I have put in with a high success rate. I put zero investment in an idea if you can not tell me that there is a competition, because that means market is not evolved yet. So you are way too ahead of the market, or it is evolved and gone, and you are the tail end. You are way behind. Right? So it is important to understand that aspect of it. So market has to be confused. Market has recognized it. Market has to be confused, and everybody is talking about it. That is critical. Then you know the opportunity is big. If you are the only one that is talking about it, nobody else is, you don't know where the hell you are.
So if I go back, just when Mark Zuckerberg was in his hostel or in his residential quarters and he came up with this thing, he had no idea whether there was a market was confused, or there existed anything like that. And there are quite a lot of entrepreneurs that sort of evolve out of that stage. And then obviously, it changes something. How would you
So what happens is, what you're talking about is you're talking about even pre confusion. So he is the, when he went to get the money, he had to demonstrate. That is, I'm talking about at that stage.
the
When
funding level, at the funding level?
yeah, that's where otherwise you can, and two of you doing in something in your, that's not a company that you're just playing around with
This is
some
an
idea.
idea.
You can continue to incubate the idea. That is the incubation stage. You can
Right.
keep incubating all you want. I'm talking about you're creating a business out of that incubation. Is when you start creating, when you come out, you have to show what it is going to do.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
and whether it's you know whatever he was doing at the time, and when he went for the investment. And sometimes I take back. Sometimes what happens is some ideas don't follow any of these norms I'm talking about. There are always exceptions. They don't
Yes.
follow any norms, and they just the market evolves, and it gives you an opportunity. There is no rhyme or reason that it can follow. You need to take these things like 80-20 rule. 80% of the things what I'm telling you apply. 20% of
Good,
the things
good.
can
Yeah,
apply,
yeah, yeah.
and then may not apply. Right? So first market has to be confused. Then opportunity has to be big enough that everybody is talking about it. If tomorrow you and I come up with the idea that, okay, you know what, we'll come up with a solution that you put on the top of the syringe, so that when the syringe goes in the body, it has an anesthetic, so you won't feel the pinch. How many syringes? What size of company will you build? You will build a company. You and I will be rich, but I'm not sure that based on that only that solution I can build a company.
Correct.
We can build our own. We can build a successful, entity for you and I to become rich. But I can build a company that is doing a anesthetic, putting an anesthetic on the top of the syringe, so that when the human body gets pricked, it doesn't feel it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
giving you an example, right? So
yeah.
the opportunity has to be big, the market has to be confused, and then third thing is you have to have a differentiation. So I go back to the car example. So the car example was very simple. You and I did a car, $25,000, great green, what four tires, whatever goes 0 to 60, whatever. But there is no differentiation compared to the market. Now tomorrow we take that and say, you know what, we create a differentiation. In a maturing market, differentiation is created either by price or by quality. So we say we sell that car for $5,000. So we created a significant price differentiation from the market, and if we sell for $5,000, our market, we will capture the market because I created a price differentiation in a mature market. Or I say quality. I say you buy the car and lifetime it's free for all the maintenance. Well, now I created a differentiation from quality, right? So embryonic stage of the market, you create differentiation differently than a developing stage and a maturing stage, right? So in the embryonic stage, the differentiation you create is by solving your fear or your pain. Significant fear or significant pain. Something I solve for you. That is significant enough that you will adopt me even though I'm a risk. Why would you, as a middle level manager in Intel, buy my software? Okay, unless there is no other solution that you have, and you have to have a solution, otherwise you're dead.
Yes.
So
Okay. Yes.
So it's important to understand that aspect. So your differentiation is not, oh, I give this solution to you with my idea, so you save 5% or 10% expense. No good. Okay. What is important is for an entrepreneur to think of the revenue and not the savings. So you come up with the idea and you come and say, I have this idea. With this idea you implement, if you are spending $100 today, you will spend 90. Not interested. I can do some tweaks here and there and I can get 90. Well, I can save you 80, I can save you 20. some tweak, still not interested. But you are making $100 today, you implement my idea, and that idea will give you $150 revenue. I'm increasing your revenue.
Correct, correct.
I can, now you're talking.
Yeah.
Now you're talking. I'll give you example of my company, right? Company I had, we were doing silicon libraries. Okay, so you take a synthesis library from Synopsys, from some other thing, you put it on piece of silicon, 50,000 gates, occupied 10 by 10 millimeters. Done, right? You use my library, exactly the same logic, same everything. You got my logic, you implement it, it gives you 7 by 7 die. And I come to you and say, I'm saving you 3 millimeter by 3 millimeter. You're not interested. It's okay, I'm not really sure. I want to take a chance because things can fail. Your technology is unproven. Okay, but I come to you and say, you know what? You have only 300 wafers capacity in 0.5 micron. I don't want to touch it. You keep doing that. With 5,000 wafers capacity. But in 0.35 micron, you implement this logic, and your 300 wafer capacity, because I save you 3 by 3, I save 30%. You can get equivalent of 600 wafers out of
the
that.
revenues per wafer is very high.
The revenue per wafer went crazy. So, that's interesting. I can bring my capacity overnight. I'll take a chance. What I have done is I have helped you increase your revenue per wafer.
Yes.
So it got accepted. But if I came to you and say, I save you 3 by 3, I'm producing 10,000 parts right now. I don't take a chance. Something screws up. Why would I do that? So entrepreneurship, when the entrepreneur or a founder sells an idea, they should focus on how am I going to increase the customer's revenue. People miss that fact.
Yes.
That's when they screw up.
Yes. Actually, Prakash, you are the second person, the guy who founded Mardi Gras, right? And Mardi Gras is big business, as you know. So I interviewed the CEO of Mardi Gras. And he said to me, look, our business expands by enabling our customers to expand their revenue.
There you go. That is, he said it, that is the precise what I'm trying to tell you.
Correct, exactly. So I appreciated, that thought process, even on an entertainment space, not just the technology space. Right? It doesn't matter, right?
Does not matter.
Right. So that allows, and therefore then you can charge more for your services because you're allowing to expand and you don't have to charge less for your service.
Right. And then I take the risk of, I say, okay, you know what, if in that 50% give me a profit, in that 50% give me 10%. I'm not asking you to share your 100%. Your 100% you keep.
Yeah.
The additional 50% you're getting, give me 10% of that.
Yeah.
No, that's an interesting proposition because I'm at no risk to me. You're asking me to share, and if you don't succeed, then I don't get nothing, no skin off my back.
Correct.
So,
yeah, go ahead. There was a third point. What was the fourth point? That you had 4 points.
So, massive opportunity, confused market, differentiating product, and a few good men. I'm using it a few good people. Show me a successful product, and I'll show you a successful team. Show me a successful team, and I'll show you a successful product. Where people don't realize is, what happens is in a startup, people that assemble together, they're all the best in their own field. You're not there to learn. Startup is not a place where you come to learn. Startup is a place where you give what you have learned. You have to learn, you go work in big company, you go work in Intel and Sun and wherever. That's where you polish your skills. Startup is not a place where you polish your skills. By default, some things you polish are different. But startup is a place where you are giving your skills. So now what happens is typically in the early stages of startup, if you have the right team, then you have a good product. But right teams means they're like 7, 10 bright horses pulling a chariot. And if they are not pulling as a team in one direction, they can break the chariot apart in no time. If 10 people pull it 10 different ways. salespeople says one thing, engineering says I'm the right one. I'm going to dictate to you what product I'm going to build, and sales is saying build it this way, and engineering says no, I'm going to build it this way because I know better engineering than you do. So what is important is how do you, as a team, gel together and think above your egos and above your perspectives in such a way that you are producing a product that is uh, second to none. And that initial stages, typically an entrepreneur plays that role in terms of putting these horses together.
And not the founder.
Not the founder. Not the founder, because founder will, if not necessarily the founder. If founder could be entrepreneur,
sometimes may become an entrepreneur.
yeah. So I take it, say tongue in cheek, But,
right.
but there is, that is where you kind of get everybody's ideas together and go forward. It is like this. What happens is there are 10 bright men, 10 really hardworking, intelligent men. That we have people. We have given them access and picks and whatnot. So there is gold in that mountain. Go dig, right? So they start digging. They dig and they found some nuggets and say, okay, oh, this nugget looks good. Okay, let's put this one. Oh, that nugget, oh, that one looks good. Put that one. That one looks good. Put that one. You keep on pulling the nuggets, you can really exhaust your resources. So which nugget you pull and which nugget you throw out. So in building the company out of an idea, building a business out of an idea, you have to understand what features, what functionalities you pick and what you throw away. Very, very crucial. Otherwise, you start building every idea that everybody gives, because nobody knows what the right product is. So a sales guy gives some idea, marketing guy gives some idea, engineering guy gives some idea, and they all kind of, if you put everybody's ideas together, you'll never have a product. So what engineer does? Oh, the sales guys are useless. They don't know what they're talking about. I'm going to build it the way I want, and he goes does that. Or marketing guy colludes with engineer and does whatever, right? So what is important is how do you coalesce in such a way that the product that you are building is really solving somebody's problem. That skill is not necessarily a founder skill.
Right. So let me sort of put it in a different manner, and thank you for really making this very clear. Most entrepreneurs and the outside world, Prakash, thinks that entrepreneurship is an art of success. What you are saying to me and to the reader is that it is really a science, as long as you get the true mind of an entrepreneur, which is not necessarily the founder, to be able to drive the success with those kinds of qualifications and experience that lead to the founding of a product or a company.
Yes and no, Sanjeev. Part of it is art, part of it is science. It is mixed, in a sense, because you will never run across the same problem over and over in different companies. If I might run so many companies. Every company has its own problem. I cannot tell you that I saw a problem in this company, the same problem I saw in this company. There's certain commonalities that I'm telling you what is there.
Yeah.
Some personality traits and commonalities I'm pointing out to you. For example, I don't know of any company that I'm involved with or indirectly somebody else is involved with that the idea that you founded the company on is the same idea has become a successful business. None. A semblance of the idea is there, but it completely pivots to something else. And that pivoting of what you pivot on is the skill.
Yes.
Is that art? Which nugget to keep and which nugget to throw. That's an art. Because
But is it Prakash an art, or is it the redefinement of the market needs to what
that's
really?
so it's not a science, because the variables are infinite, Sanjeev. That's the problem. That's why I'm calling it art.
Okay.
It's a variables to that are infinite. Some are geographical, some are whatever, some are market changes, or the infinite variables, And so even with all that, you screw up big time. I mean,
Yeah.
we had a company that was doing. Uh, we felt that it was a billion-dollar entity, first billion-dollar entity in networking space, right? We had 8 out of 10 in VoIP space. This is before VoIP became what VoIP was, right? 8 out of 10 large customers in the world had signed up. Our first purchase order in hand, first purchase of a startup was $25 million. We had
Wow.
purchase order, hard purchase order in hand, very first one. I mean, it's not like supply me 10 products, supply me 10, 20 samples or whatever. $25 million purchase order. And the Black Tuesday happened in 2001. The Black Tuesday happened, the market crashed. 3 out of 10 companies went belly up, Stream Networks and so on, so they went belly up. And other people put Panasonic and other people put the product on hold. And all of a sudden, we have 280 people with leading technology product, money burning, and boom, market crashed in front of us. Gone. No fault of our own. There's nothing that me as
You
a
could have done differently.
CEO could have done or could have expected. Just like it was this Corona thing, right?
Yeah.
No, nobody could have expected if I were running some show and I was about to go public and this Corona thing happened in the market. What would you do?
Yeah.
It's out of your control.
Yeah.
Things happen, So not everything you can predict and protect against it, but these things happen.
Right. So I know I've taken a lot of your time. I wanted to ask you truly sort of a question from the heart of an entrepreneur. Because a part of the expertise that you bring to the founding members as an entrepreneur is the expertise of capital sourcing. And capital sourcing is the nerve of any entrepreneurial entity. And what has been, when as entrepreneurs you look at the golden rule of capital, which is the man with the gold rules. And you've been able to intelligently manage all of that, even through VCs and everything like that. The control of the destiny of the company, which is quite contrary to the overall understanding of that you need to be in control of the gold or the cap table in order to create the destiny that you seek. Give us some clarity on how an entrepreneur like you creates a transformation in the capital space.
See, if you take me out of it, okay, because I have done it so many numbers. So what happens is the history and success builds reputation, right? So the doors get easily opened for me, and sometimes people will ignore even the fail signs because they have the recognition, quote unquote, with what I have done and how I have saved the entities from going under. So with my experience, right. So what they would look at me today would be different than if I were then. So my advice to the founders are, first, try to find 1 or 2 senior people, advisors, people, whatever, and as a part of the team. I would very strongly recommend that, because typically what happens is, when you go to the VCs, ultimately what it comes down to, Sanjeev, is they look at the whites of your eyes. And you can dance all you want, you can do numbers, you can crunch numbers, do whatever the heck you want, 10 different ways. What it comes down to is, do I know the technology and do I know the person? And can this person save my investment or would he take it under? That's what it comes down to. So if you typically look at the number of plans the VCs look at in a year, you would categorize those plans in 4 different buckets. The first, so entrepreneurs should think this way. The first bucket is, me as a VC know the market intimately well. I've invested in some other peripheral components in that particular segment. So I know the market and I know what the market may look for, and I have some experience, domain expertise, and I know the person. This person I can bet on, this person is well recognized, I have bet on 2-3 times before, so I know how he thinks. I'm talking about the entrepreneur or
The founder.
the voice in the company, the influencer in the company. Most often, that category gets funded. Knows the person, knows the market. Second category is, knows the market but don't know the person. Okay, so I know the market, I know I invested in this space, but I don't know this founder. I don't know who he is. So I can do his reference checks and so on and so forth. And then if I still don't trust, because I have not gotten enough comfort feeling, personal comfort feeling as well as technical comfort feeling, I will find an influencer and I will install him or her as a CEO, as a person of influence, and I'll put a couple more people on the board. And then in that way, I can manage to control the thinking of the company. So they sometimes get funded. Now, third category is, I know the person, but I don't know the market. I know the person, but I don't know the market. If I'm not getting enough resources, if I'm not getting enough proposals, and the segment that person is bringing to me, I have bet that on that person 3-4 times before. I know the person inside out. I trust his judgment in building a team, doing whatever it takes. But that segment is not, it's totally unfamiliar to me. But I want to get into that segment. So this is my entry to that segment through some way, so that I can, because I know someone who's
been there before.
Doing that. Seldom they get funded. So
Seldom.
The one always, often, seldom. Last one is, I don't know the person, I don't know the market.
Zero.
Never get funded. So typically founders go and pitch 10 different companies, this, that, whatever. In the hope that, okay, I'm going to pitch here, I'm going to pitch there, I'm going to pitch there. They don't know the person they're pitching to. And the VCs have no clue in that segment, or they're peripherally interested in that segment. You're not going to get funded, you're wasting your time. So the time to money you can shrink by getting some experienced person guiding you. No, it doesn't always work, but most of the time it works.
But this is an important homework to be done by the founder,
important homework done by the founder. Important homework to be done by the founder.
Important. Is the fund? So are you recommend? Are you?
So when you go pitch to the particular company, first what you should do is, you should analyze the VCs who are investing in that specific area. First, you should know that. Okay, don't go pitching to any and every VC. Then you need to find out not only they're investing, they're leading. Typically what happens is, there are firms here who invest in lots of different areas, but they're following somebody. They're following Sequoia, they're following
Mark Andreessen or somebody.
yeah, whoever. They're following some people. They're not doing on their own. They're just following somebody. You should know. You should go pitch to the people who typically lead in the space, who have led in some other peripheral technologies. Those 6, 7, 4, 5, 3, 2, whatever the number of firms are, you should isolate them. Then understand who from those partnerships have actively been engaged in the peripheral, the company that will be complementary to you, complementary to your solution. Because they have heard the problem what you're trying to solve through in the board meetings, through whatever it is, that's one of them. Right? So I would highlight that. Then I would find that person, and I would see somehow I would create a relationship between that individual and your company. How you do it is, like use people like me or whatever. I mean, do whatever. I don't know everybody. I know some VCs. You may know some VCs. Somebody else may know some VCs. You got to go find those people and see if they would be interested in working with you and taking a sufficient. And don't go to people like me and say. Typically, people come to say, I just need 100,000 of you. I don't need big money from you. Just 100,000, just so that I can say Prakash has invested. VCs know that if I invest 100,000 in a company, when typically I'm investing significantly more, they think this is like warm water in the sand, warm water in the snow. Oh, I don't take him seriously. What exactly is he doing for the company? So the entrepreneurs, those who are actively engaged, will have a stake in the company, preferred shares, common shares, whatever. They have enough sufficient amount of stake that a VC will look at and say, yeah, this person is really committed. And it's not like, just distributing kirapat, distribute, some prasad to other people. That's not that. That is what is important. Important is to get those people. Now, if it doesn't happen, it's okay. You just go blindly. You can do blindly, But this is how the process that you have to go through.
Evolve into it.
Evolve into it.
So thank you. Just any questions you have of me, or any questions that I should have asked you that are valuable to the readers and to this amazing conversation that you shared. Any questions that you feel from your gut level that would be valuable for them, or you can ask me any questions.
No, I think what I gave the. I didn't dive into some specifics. Each company and there are lots of specific experiences that that you can recite, but they are more reading experiences. They don't necessarily. You may not face that, and you really interesting read, but it is not necessarily going to give you any insight. I mean, the insight is what I try to concise for you with through different points that I'm making.
Yeah, Prakash, it is very natural for you. I'm going to use those minutes for you to think product and wealth creation as a synergistic path to entrepreneurism or entrepreneurial ventures. A lot of entrepreneurs, even founders or entrepreneurs, not like yourself, there are very rare of them, think that if you build a product, success will come. And there are a lot of entrepreneurs that create hype, and they don't understand that the enterprise value is also a product of the company. There are two, there is the product value and there is the enterprise value. And if they don't match or resonate with each other, or they have not been given equal importance, then you do not maximize the leverage of the created effort from the product in translated into the wealth creation process. For you, it is a natural thing. And I have seen it over and over again, where you have to tell the what has been your experience looking from the other side in this two products of an enterprise. One is the product and the service the company makes, and the second is the enterprise value that needs to be optimized to create wealth.
I think I think it orthogonally. I won't characterize it in that, in the way you are characterizing it. I think what you need to continuously focus on is the solution that you're working on is continuously differentiating. If it is continuously differentiating and it is being absorbed by the customer base repeatedly, repeatedly, not, you have 100 customers and they only buy it once and you're done, then you're not creating an enterprise. You're not creating an enterprise. You've created a product, but you're not creating an enterprise. If you develop a product and that's absorbed repeatedly by only 3 out of 100 customers, then it is a product, but it is not an enterprise. I mean, so it depends what you're trying to do, right? So the key is you keep on evolving the solution. I'm calling it solution, not a product. Keep on evolving the solution that it is approaching 90%, 80-90% of your market, available market, and you have gained 10 to 15% of that market. If at that point, if you continue to maintain differentiation, from 15 to 90 will happen by the first 15% in direct or indirect way referring to the other people, and it will multiply. So your focus, I always say that, gain the 20% of the market, gain the 20% of the enterprise. The rest will happen. It's like me saying, I make a statement. There's a life on Mars. So I made a statement. 100 people, and 2 people independently will say, yeah, there is life on Mars. One person or 1% that looks to me as a mentor, and whatever I say, yeah, if he says it, there is. Other percent is independently reached to the conclusion that there is a life on Mars, whether I said it or not. So the 2% I got right away. 2 to 15% are doubting Thomases. Oh, there is a life on Mars? Show me hair of a Martian. Oh, there is life on Mars? Show me hair and a picture of a Martian. If there is life on Mars, show me hair, a picture, and a third person that believes it, and so on and so forth. So you go to 15% in that way. So the doubts increase to 15 to 18%. If you get to the 15 to 18%, and you keep on adding the value to get to that, beyond that, to go to 95% is just a sheer momentum that the 15% will carry, unless you do some stupid things. Then it will carry. Last 5-10%, you'll never get them. So key is how not to include them in the first 15 is the key. Because if somebody is not going to be ever convinced, don't include them in the.
Why waste the time in convincing them?
Why waste the time? It's like convincing my mother that there is a life on, that there is a man that walked on the moon. You could not have convinced my grandmother that there is a man went on the moon. She was of the opinion that no human will ever go on the moon. Her moon was different.
Yeah.
In her religious moon was different. It's not the moon that we think. Right? So you could not convince her. So in the same way, you have to learn to kind of write up that 5 to 10% and take this 80 to 90% and keep working on them so that you get 15% of that and keep servicing. So whether it's a product or whether it's an enterprise, it will grow.
Yeah,
it will grow.
So in your mind, the appreciation of the enterprise value is an outcome of the rolling momentum.
Plus 15%.
To 15%.
You take a look at not only that, you take a look at what Mark Zuckerberg has done with respect to Facebook, or giving a religious example. You take a look at 11 apostles that Christ created. He didn't go create millions of followers. The 11 apostles did the work, right? In the same parallels, what you need to think through is how do you get your first early successes to a point that it puts you over the hump. Then lots of other factors play that are not in your control. If the good Lord is smiling, you go to 90% very quickly.
Yeah. So Prakash, totally off the book, a chapter I'm including just as a hobby is religion a form of entrepreneurship?
I don't want to make any comment.
Because if you look at it, the rules of religion and the rules of entrepreneurship are fundamentally the same,
No, I don't want to make any comment on that, Sanjeev.
Okay. Prakash, thank you so much. It was such an enlightening conversation. And I'm sure the readers are going to read a lot. From the 50, the momentum of the 15 to 85, 95% is another new, creating value for the customers so they can increase their revenues. Is the 4 points, all of those are very valuable. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Prakash.
Okay, good. Take care.